It was great to get a win last week. I thought we played well on the road. I thought our team competed hard. We've got a great challenge this week with Iowa, number 5 team in the country. Tremendous football program, tremendous football team. Once again, we're on the road. Defense. You know, Phil Parker's been here a long time. We've played against this team before. Really super sound defense. They're 6th in scoring defense, 8th in total defense, 10th against the run, and 34th against the pass. So really strong defense. Got some great players. Their defensive end, their Mike backer, their corner are elite players. Offensively, they really are really strong up front in the offensive line. They traditionally have been at tight end and O-line, and they are again. Running back has got really good speed, and they're just a really strong offense. Coach Ferentz has been around a long time. I have a tremendous amount of respect for him. Has a great program and continually does that, and you can see it. They have great continuity within their program. So really tremendous challenge for us to go on the road, and obviously a great opportunity. You get a chance to go play the number 5 team at their place, and we've got to have a great week and get better each day, like we said for the last couple of weeks. We've been able to do that. We've grown, we've gotten better, and once again, we're playing another really good football team, and that's been a pretty familiar theme. I don't think anybody really quite understands all that. People don't really care about that stuff, but we play another really good football team, and it'll help us develop and get better, and looking forward to it. So, any questions?
Like you said, when you play the number 5 team in the country, it's a challenge and an opportunity. How do you talk to your team in those regards? And does it feel like they're embracing this right now?
Yeah, I think our team's excited. We're looking forward to this challenge. We're not naive. We know how good this football team is. It's pretty evident. They're the number 5 team in the country, and they should be. So, but in the same breath, we've got to focus on us. We've got to get better again this week. Each week, we want to get incrementally better, and we're going to get obviously up against an incredible challenge, and so that'll be another benchmark for our program. So we're looking forward to the excitement level of a big time game and the preparation that goes into it.
When you talk about you're trying to make incremental improvements as you go and you build this program, what is the challenge of being able to do that? You don't want to take steps back, but what's the challenge of being able to do that against
I don't know what steps back mean. We are playing an elite football team. I'm going to say it again. We're playing the number 5 team in the country, and they should be, okay? And, I don't know what steps back equate to. I don't know what that is. But what I'm going to look for is we play a physical football game, both sides of the ball up front. We play a clean game. I don't want to see a lot of mistakes. I don't want to see a lot of penalties. I want to make sure that we put ourselves in position to compete, and I think you need to play a clean game on the road. There's going to be a real crowd noise deal here. This is something we have not had yet, right? So that's another new hurdle. So I think we have to play a clean, consistent game, and I'm looking for that. And I want to see our physicality against what many would say would be one of the most physical football teams in all of America. You're 5. You're 4 steps from 1. You're not, and they've always been a physical team. This is not a new phenomenon. I played against them. I know exactly what we're up against. So we're going to get a chance to see how we match up physically against the most probably or top whatever 5, 3, 2 physical teams in college football. A week ago we played probably one of the best defensive fronts I've seen in a long, long time. And I think I've been around a fair long time. So, that was really challenging. It's like, you didn't do this. Yeah, I know. We played against a really good defensive football team last week. That's what happened. Okay? And with that, we took 7 points off the board. So I just think that this is a new week, and I can't wait for it. I want to see how our team, we close out, to me, the preseason, which is your non-conference schedule. And then we have a week off, and we got to get ready for a conference schedule. I want to see where we are. And how do you measure that, I think was your original question. It's not all equal. I don't know that yet. I don't measure that the same way I might measure 2 weeks ago or something. It's you're because of who you're playing.
Obviously, everyone locally knows all about Trey and what he's done, but that is starting to reach a more national level with what he's doing. I was just curious, how much NFL, team scouts, personnel, and have conversations about Trey and, what he does.
I mean, right now we're worried about the season, right? I mean, that's what's going on. NFL teams aren't talking to coaches right now about that kind of stuff, right? Right now, we're in the middle of the season, and we got to focus on beating Iowa right now. That's our focus. That's all we care about. That's all Trey cares about. That's all we care about. It's all anybody in America cares about is their next opponent. The rest of the stuff all takes care of itself. It all comes out in the wash. It's all on videotape. It's for everybody to see. So what we got to do is just get a little bit better this week, make a few less errors, and get a little bit more consistency.
Obviously, Iowa has, they tend to produce a lot of really good tight ends. Is that something that for you as a team or as a program, it's cool to see that, Trey is one of the guys that, is at that type of level, but here at CSU rather than a place like that?
I mean, I don't look at it like that. I look at it like he's a hell of a player, and we've got really good football players. There are pro players that show up in Power 5, Group of 5, Division I AA, Division II. They're all over the place. I mean, this is, what we're focused on right now is playing the number 5 team in the country and playing the very, very best we can play. All that other stuff I don't know what that is. It's what it is, I guess. I don't know.
You mentioned Iowa's defense and the number of elite players that they have. They've been great at creating turnovers this year. How do you stress to your team ball security is going to be
The same way we do every week.
Yeah.
It's the same way we do every week. It's a big focus for us, ball security. We call it football heaven and football hell, the way you hold the ball. And we had a cut up from last week's game in stressing ball security. This is a team that has had a bunch of defensive touchdowns. I want to say maybe 3. They're a really consistent defense. That's why I said we got to play a clean game. You got to give yourself a chance to win. And the way you do that is take care of the football and be able to move the football and run the football. And we've got to play great on defense. But this is a defense that will take the ball away. I mean, that's, on offense, they're averaging under 300 yards a game. They're the number 5 team in the country, and they're averaging under 300 yards a game. That tells you all you need to know. They're playing elite defense. And they play a clean game of football on offense, okay? And that's their style. I know this style. I mean, I've been in this style. I get it. It's play great defense. It's run the football, be good in special teams. Be physical, be tough. I've read this book, so they do it. I've been involved with trying to do the same thing at that level of football, where you're utilizing your tight ends, you're a physical up front team, blah blah blah. Well, they're doing it, and they do it at a very, very high level, right? This program has been going, coach is in his 23rd season, I think. I mean, you're talking about consistency, and it's at its best. It's at its best right here. It's not flashy, it's not gadgety. It's not, all this everybody talks about. No one talks about Iowa and says, oh, they're geniuses. Because there are no geniuses. These are just really good ball coaches. They play a really tough physical brand of football, and they're really good. And they're really consistent. They're not up and down, okay? I respect the heck out of them. You could probably tell that right now. I respect them. And 23 years. In this business, 23 years doing it that way. They know exactly who they are, and I give them all of that. To me, that's the genius. They're smart. They know exactly what they're doing.
Third down and red zone, the things that you've mentioned, you talked about working on, things you've been struggling on. What are the things that you're trying that this offense needs to be more consistent on to get more consistent in those?
Well, we came out in week 1, we were extremely consistent, okay? We threw for 69%. We hit every third down mark. We averaged over almost 500 yards offense in the first 2 weeks. 1 week ago, I thought against Vanderbilt, we moved the ball up and down the field, but I saw that I didn't like where our third and medium was, okay? And we addressed it like we always do. We put it as our primary focus. This past week, We ran the ball for over 4 yards a carry, and we had over 200 yards of rushing, and we would have had almost 250 had we not had the points wiped off the board. That's pretty damn good. I didn't think we played real well on third down, and I think we didn't play well on third down because we took a lot of shots and a lot of play-action passes on first down, so we were constantly in second and long. Okay, that was a conscious decision we made, and, and we also played, I know no one, I always say this because no one seems to really lock into that and pay attention to it, like, we played an outstanding front seven, like really good, okay? We had some good players who had a hard time moving these guys because they were that stout and twitchy. They probably have 4 pro players in their front seven, okay? So let's not let that, let's go on to the next commentary. No. That was stressful. That was really hard. We were in all over the country. Every team in America, you're seeing those games sometimes where they're 16 points and 14 points and 17 points and 19 points. Why does that happen? Usually that means you got a damn good defense on that field, okay? And so when you have a really damn good defense, sometimes that happens. Thank God we played really good too on defense. We held them to 21 yards rushing. It was 1 yard per carry. 1 yard per carry. So we played really good complementary football. What do you say that? Well, we stopped the run, we played really good defense, we ran the ball, and we played really good in special teams. I've been talking about that forever. And we scored in the red zone. We scored every time in the red zone. Now, we didn't score touchdowns every time in the red zone, but one of our goals is to score every time in the red zone. And we did that. So I think the other thing we did was we came out in the second half and played one of our better halves of football. We hadn't done that. We did that against a really good front seven, like an outstanding one. But again, I don't think anybody pays attention to that. People just look at statistics. They don't really understand football. And that's okay. That's life. It's my job to understand it and get better, and for us to get better and move forward.
Obviously, you had a couple guys out, and then a few more guys got banged up. Do you have any updates on where you are at the injury front?
No, I'm pretty pleased with how, a true freshman came in and played at safety, Jack Howell. I thought he played a hell of a game. And then Henry played some, but he was banged up and had to come out of that game. And by the time he had to come out of that game, we were able to get Logan Stewart back in that game. I thought, obviously we missed Dante. That, he's our real, our deep threat. He's our top receiver. And, it's hard to play without your top players, especially, at places where you're only going to have so many of those kind of guys, right? So we played without him. Will he be back this week? I think it's possible. I think Taiwan is probable. I don't know the details yet, but I think probable. Probable doesn't mean definite, but I think probable. We got some nicks and bruises, but they appear to be that. I'll get a better feel probably by tomorrow/Wednesday. A couple of those banged up guys could become problematic, but right now we're not necessarily thinking that. But who knows? We're going into our 4th game, and we've been in some physical games. It wasn't like we've had guys that have been able to play just a half of football or something. So, but it's been good. It's been good. Great mentality on our team right now. I'm really proud of it. I just really like our team right now. Great mentality. Really into it, really excited. It was great for them to feel some success because it matched up to the week's work, and they've seen the incremental growth. So that's good. And now we will face a grand challenge. Very grand. Again, I say it again, top 5 team in the country now. That's saying something. There's a big difference between top 5 teams and the top 20 teams. There's a big difference. So, you're potentially playing against a team that's going to be in the playoffs here. So, it's going to be a lot of fun.
How is somebody that you've liked because of the way he's practiced, and one thing he lacked was experience, really game reps, so.
Justin's trying to ask something. I'm trying not to figure out.
Any slip-ups that, mess that up? Is there some freedom where you guys can just come in?
Justin, excuse me. Justin, what happened was your volume was down, So I didn't hear you from the beginning, or our volume was down, so I didn't hear you from the beginning. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, is there some freedom that goes into just being, kind of big underdogs in a game? Because obviously, you've been a top team. People expect you to perform at a high level. Maybe it's a close game at the end of the first quarter or something. Do you think, maybe they might tense up just given you guys don't have a whole lot to lose?
Well, sure. I mean, what you're saying, yeah. I mean, I think, but, so let me answer that the right way. Yes, but no. You know what I mean? Like, we approach every game the same way. Like, we're going to Iowa to go beat Iowa. We're not going to have a good first quarter. We're not going to keep it close. We're going to beat Iowa. And I really believe that, and our players believe that, and that's our mindset. That doesn't mean that we don't believe that they're one hell of a football team, because we do. They are. But, you can't, there's no other way to approach it, and nor would we. And but sure, I've been in the top, I've been in the program as number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. And when you're in those places, every week, people are judging you at a different level. And they're ticked off if you play a team close. They're ticked off if you who knows what, right? But I would say this to you. This team, with Coach Ferentz, I just think they're a really disciplined, well-coached. Like, I don't think this is a team that's going to drink the Kool-Aid. You follow me? Like, some teams drink the Kool-Aid. I don't think this team's going to drink any Kool-Aid. I think they're a lunch pail outfit that's going to show up and play their tail off. So, I don't know if there's any of that stuff going to go on with this program. Some programs, sometimes they drink the Kool-Aid a little bit, and that's when you get vulnerable. This won't be a vulnerable team. For us to go beat this team, we're going to have to take it. And that's obviously a tall order. But our mindset is we got to go in and take it. They're not going to give it to us. That won't happen, So, we've got to have a great plan, and we got to make sure we put our kids in position to, to play a clean game. We don't want a mistake-filled game. That won't work out.
Jack Howell, somebody that impressed you in
Is it easier
practice?
to have that confidence? Oh, I'm sorry, Mike.
No, that's all right. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Justin.
Is it easier to have that confidence just after going, you mentioned Toledo's a really good team. You went into their house, they didn't score a touchdown, you beat them by double digits. I mean, you said you weren't worried about losing the locker room, but is it easier to feel that confidence now that you punched a good team in the mouth a little bit?
Sure. I mean, yes. I wasn't worried about losing the locker room one way or the other, but yeah. I mean, I think, in football, like in anything else, when you work and work and work and you invest and you invest and you invest, it's always nice to see a little return. A little return can only help you, right? It doesn't mean if you didn't get it, you're going to pack your bags and, everybody keeps talking about that. I don't know where, I can't relate to that. I don't know what that is. I guess that must be some nouveau deal. But for sure, you put a little, fertilizer in a little water and you get you can bear a little fruit. Sure. Yeah. You always would rather win. It's not like we're drinking any Kool-Aid. So we're going to take that win in the right way that it was, which is, okay, guys, we needed to come back and play a better second half. We needed to do that as a program because we didn't do that the week before, and we did that. And that was good. And yes, to your point, especially on offense, okay, because offense was very good the first 2 weeks. I don't know what to tell everybody. It's a lot of yardage to be putting up. In fact, I think before last week's game, I don't know where it is now, I want to say we were 31 in the country in total offense, and we were 41 in the country in rushing. That was on an 0-2 team against good teams. We didn't have the advantage of playing some slappers. So we say, oh, well, you play. They're still an SEC team. I don't know, everybody, they're delusional. But so that's where we were offensively, statistically, if you're into statistics, okay? So my point is that what we need to do is come in and have a better second half. And we have also played against, like I thought last week, exceptionally so for the offense. When you play a team like we played the week before, we knocked them off the ball. That was evident to everybody, you know. But when we played this team, those yards were hard to come by. We still averaged over 4 yards a carry. And we didn't have any, it wasn't like we had big hits to skew that average. The biggest hit we had came back with 7 points for a penalty. So we went 4 yards a carry the hard way. On our second drive of the game, we had 15-play drive against what I would consider to be a really strong front seven. We had a 15-play drive. You know, that's hard. And we went 15 plays, and I forgot how much time we took off the clock, and we only got 3 points out of it. Okay? So that's a lot of offense. That means your defense is on the field, on the sideline resting. That we played a lot of complementary football. That's all the positive stuff that probably just, you know. Again, you can make a story any way you want with stats. You can twist them and formulate them, and you can do a lot of things if you want to do it. Here's the clear reality. We didn't do well on third down. Part of that was because we were in too many third longs, and part of that was because we took too many shots on first down for play actions or nakeds. That's the reality of what happened in that game. Okay? But what we did do, to your point in the very beginning, was we went on the road and took away a win from a team that people were real high on after essentially, you know, playing Notre Dame down to the last seconds of the game at Notre Dame. And that was real. That was true. That happened. That was on the tape. And the reason why that was because they were really good on defense. And they were really good on defense on Saturday. Probably what they didn't count on was our defense playing to the level our defense played at. You follow me? And the fact that we played complementary football, which never gets discussed. Like the second drive, 15 plays. It's a lot, okay? So there's a lot of ways that you have to skin it when you're, you know, in a season. And your hope is that you can play complementary football. And if there's a deficit on one side, there's a bonus on the other side. That's complementary football. And then, you know, we had a spark with Tadpole's punt return, which was beautiful. That was a really good thing. But we work really hard on special teams here, really hard. And then does anybody talk about Stoney's flipping of the field? I mean, you know, he had a couple of punts where it was like one of them was 60-something yards with unbelievable hang time. I mean, it's so there's a lot of pieces here. And then, you know, so. But we ran the ball and we stopped the run, and that's a darn good place to start. A darn good place to start.
Jack Howell's somebody you liked in practice, but the one thing you lacked was experience.
Yeah.
What impressed you most about the way he was composed and the way he played on the field?
Yeah, I didn't get too big for him, which sometimes can happen. We saw that a little bit last week. You know, some freshmen can get a little big for him. And he was physical. You know, he was physical, athletic, in space. He's going to be a hell of a player. I mean, he's still a young guy. I mean, there's still going to be a little roller coaster ride there. That's normal, but he's going to be a hell of a player. I mean, we got a bunch of really talented young guys on this football team and on the field, and they're talented. And, you know, and you're going to see some of that ride as we go through the season with some of these guys, but it's going to pay off because, you know, like that back end we have right now, like, you know, Henry's a young guy. Jack's a young guy. Floyd is a walk-on corner. He's going to really be a good player now. He's playing, I mean, he's out there a fair amount right now. I mean, you know, we're talking about, you know, and Langston is going to be a really good player. I mean, we're talking about a bunch of young guys. Henry being a sophomore, a true sophomore, didn't even redshirt. I mean, we're gonna be able to build that back end. We're building the front on both sides, and we're starting to slowly. You can see the building of the back end, and this is part of this process of putting the foundation in, you know, and it never comes exactly when you want it to. It never comes on the exact timetable you want it to. That just doesn't, you know, that's not real. I mean, it takes time, you know, and nobody wants to hear that, including me. But it takes time, and you know, and we'll have our ups and downs. We've been getting better every week, and there'll probably be a week where maybe that doesn't happen, and you know, then you try to it's all part of it. But at the end, you're trying to build your graph and establish things. We're really in our first year here right now, and we played a few games last year, but that was craziness. So, this is first swipe at it.
One of the biggest improvements this team's made in the areas has been special teams. How crucial is Orion Stonehouse, especially when you're talking about field position on the road against Iowa?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be big. And then, our kicker, how about, everybody was questioning the kicker. Someone asked me, what do you think you'll still kick field goals? Do you think like, I told you a week ago, he had a great camp. He had a big leg. Caden's, he had a great preseason. He got in the games and he had a couple issues. I mean, he's never played. I mean, these things are going to happen. We're developing him. But he's got a big leg, and all of a sudden you hang in there. You don't ride the roller coaster, just kind of steady in the boat. And we put some emphasis on some things in practice, and you know what? It paid off. Now, is it going to be a clear sail? Probably not. But on that graph, I mean, he's going to be a guy that he's going to do great. He's going to do great, and I'm really super happy for him, So he saw that this is all part of experience. This is all part of growing, right? I mean, so. And there's growth that's going to happen everywhere, Like I told you, I thought Toddy played exceptionally well in Game 1. I thought he did some really good things in Game 2. I thought we struggled a little bit throwing the ball in Game 3, but, did you watch him run in Game 3? I mean, he was a great leader. He had great physicality and determination. I mean, there's ebb and flows in the season. It's the way it goes, After week 1, I was disappointed when I walked in that we didn't run the ball as well as I thought we should have ran the ball. Well, we're starting to really pick that back up. We threw it way better than I thought. And now we got to come back in here and we got to re-attack that because this is what, this is all part of it right now. Yeah.
Back to Stonehouse in the punt team. They've been really good this year.
Yes.
They take on an even bigger role in a game like this, do they not?
Yeah, field position. I mean, we want to play in the short field, which is, you're hopeful that can happen. And you want them to play on the long field. Now, that's your goal. Let's see how that happens. Probably be a little bit of both. I mean, special teams control field position, right? You want to have a great kickoff return. We want to get that ball out beyond the 30. We feel like you get 2 first downs. Worst case scenario, you have to punt, you pin them. And then you play the field position game. Punt flips the field. You play the field position game. I mean, that's what it all is, and you saw evidence of that in the game last week. We held them, backed them up. They punted to, Tadpole. Tadpole, that was it was a pretty good punt too, actually. But it was, give or take near midfield, and all of a sudden, that's when those hits usually come, on a punt. You usually hit it that way. We haven't had too many cracks at kickoff return. I think we had a couple, and one of which we popped out to just about the 30, a little shy of the 30. So that's a real weapon for us. So. We're working on all of it, We're working on all of it. And there's signs of improvement in all of it, and then there's still some frustration areas that, are not quite where we want it to be. But they'll get there.
I don't want to assume anything, but when Tadpole has a return like that, does he automatically become your punt returner?
Well, he was our punt returner.
Well,
And then
Dante had been, yeah.
right. And so Dante, last year wasn't able to travel a couple times, and it was Tadpole. But when Tadpole had to be moved over to defense, we're trying to, because we're trying to plug a hole, we had to put Tadpole over there, and we got nervous that, we could ill afford, where we were in the DB thing, to have him get hurt returning punts. And we saw a young guy in G. Rob, who I think has really got really good ability. He's just young. And so we said, okay, let's see if we can get the young guy going. And we did, but, it got a little big. And then we had to put Tadpole back in there. I mean, this is what happens. You're robbing Peter to pay Paul, and we got to be careful with Tadpole because, he's our starting nickelback right now. So all these things are in there, We also have him as a kickoff return guy. So you're measuring how many snaps the starting DBs are going to have because, we're thin. We're thin there. We're very, very thin there. Now, hopefully that's going to start to get a little better. But it's very, very thin. And the quality of physicality of our games and the quality of our opponents right now in the non-conference season is fairly significant, I mean, you know, even if you were a seasoned team, this would be fairly significant, you know. And we're not. So, you know, but it's been, what's been kind of cool is that our rough spots, we've been able to get displayed so that you can attack them, you know? Because sometimes, you know, even in game 3, you haven't really figured out where your rough spots are. You know, sometimes that's the case. And not sometimes, a lot, if you look across the country. So we've been able to expose a lot of that stuff. Now, hopefully we can stay healthy and get healthy, you know, over the next couple weeks. I'd hate to start our conference season. Sorry about that. I hate to start our conference season, you know, wounded. But that could happen. It's possible. All right, guys. Thank you.